Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Friends Next Door. It's Dan.
It's Mia.
It's Thomas.
It's Quan.
And we have again, back with popular demand, our own demand,
Our own demand.
another segment about love and relationships. It's the Love Couch with all of us. This is our own segment where we talk about, stuff that, helps us in our understanding of like love and romance and all of that. And maybe relationships. Hopefully it helps you guys as well. Mm-hmm. So if you have any
Or it's entertaining.
It's entertaining at least. And I see that Mia is like
hiding away, backing away,
fading. I'm like, where are you so far? So on this week's episode about this topic, we're going to talk about the spark. Okay, and what I mean by that is, so I was recently watching She's Just Not That Into You.
He's just not into you.
Oh, it's
he's
right.
just not into you.
Right, He's Just Not That Into You.
Amazing movie.
Yes.
So
And
good.
Did you guys recently watch it?
I did once when you first
you
started
did
talking
watch
about
it,
it.
right?
I watched it again.
Nice.
Who's in it?
Scarlett
so many
Johansson,
people. Bradley Cooper,
yep.
Ben Affleck, Jennifer Aniston,
Drew
Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore,
like so many
yeah,
people.
Justin
Like it's
Long.
old. It's old.
Oh, yeah, I've not
Justin
seen
Long.
it.
It's
so
an
good.
ensemble cast,
Okay.
right?
Jennifer
So
Connelly.
normally Jennifer Connelly. Mm-hmm. Okay, so most of the time these ensemble cast are pretty terrible movies, but actually this one I feel like is very accurate.
Yes, in early 2000s, something like that.
2009?
Something like that.
Yeah. So in
So
that
good.
movie, basically, like there are couples who are into each other, and there are couples who are not that into each other. That's the whole concept of the film. And the ones that are not that into each other, it's usually one person that's not. And because they always refer to, like in Scarlett Johansson's character, like, well, we just don't have a spark. Meanwhile, the guy that she's referring to seems like a good guy.
He does.
Right?
He does.
He seems to have a good job, and he comes on really strong. He's like, I don't know if you guys remember, but he saved up money to buy a house.
But he was very, very nice to her. I actually think
treats
that
her good.
maybe he didn't. I don't know if he came on that strong. He was just a nice guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure most people have
Yeah.
seen this movie by now, but like she led him along a little bit, right?
A little bit,
And
yep.
so he fully invested in her for real.
And
it's kind of like a little bit opposite
Yeah.
of like, usually it's the girl, right? And now it was a guy.
And when she got screwed over by Bradley Cooper, she realized that this guy is better for her. So she tried dating him only to break up.
Yeah.
And because there was no spark.
She tried though.
She did try.
She
Kudos
tried.
to her.
She recognized like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, I have a great guy
Yeah.
instead of this crap guy,
And,
right?
and ScarJo and Bradley Cooper, they had the spark.
They did. It was so
Right.
bad.
And then another couple, so Bradley Cooper and his wife Jennifer Connelly, Bradley Cooper's cheating on his wife, first of all. So
sad.
they used to have the spark,
Okay.
and then it disappeared.
I don't know, right? Did they ever have the spark?
I think it's implied that they did.
Because he felt pressured. So maybe it just went away
He
super
felt pressured to
fast.
get married, but not.
But if you have the spark,
yeah.
I
No,
guess-
so this is what we're
okay,
gonna talk
okay,
about.
okay,
This is what we're gonna
okay,
talk about.
all
And
right.
then Jennifer Aniston and
Ben
Ben Affleck they're basically an old married couple that really care for each other, but he refuses to marry her because he doesn't believe in marriage. But in the end, spoiler alert, she ends up being okay with it, and then he ends up proposing anyways. And that one is the most stable relationship.
Okay.
So my question to you guys
and
is,
do we want to include the last couple, like Justin Long and Jennifer Goodwin?
yeah.
That he's the guy.
right.
He is the guy who is really bluntly honest with Jennifer Goodwin's character, who is like
they didn't
he's
have a
just-
spark.
they
At first, they did
didn't-
not.
Yeah,
no.
they didn't have a spark
Yeah.
at first. I guess
Right.
like they had friendship. They
Yes,
had friendship.
yes.
But he was like, "Hey, these guys are just not that into you.
Yes.
Nobody's like. It's not because
It was a
it's-
slow
yeah.
burn. Like he became more attracted to her. He
Yeah.
was not attracted to her, and then he became more attracted to her.
It was a slow burn.
And so that was another
Yeah.
interesting relationship. So my question to all three of you guys and to you guys out there is, how important is this spark in a relationship? One, what is the spark? And let's just talk about it. Because
Okay.
I feel like Also, a lot of people ask this on the internet, and we'll read some of those beliefs later because I think they're right on.
Wait, so is a spark, is it something that's only, is it like a first encounter kind of thing?
How do you think about it?
What do you think?
I'm not.
What's your definition of the spark?
That's the whole point.
Yeah. What do you think the spark is that people are referring to?
Just like that kind of
Like,
excitement.
Yeah. Okay, why
so-
don't you
so
guys?
it's not
I
necessarily.
feel like the girls have more of a like. I think they have like a
Okay.
very definitive
Wait,
definition.
You look super excited. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't think it usually is a first encounter. I think usually when people are describing a spark, it's a first time you meet somebody and there is a connection pretty immediately, and it keeps going. There's like a high that keeps going. And so I think it's the typical way that people describe chemistry, right?
Or butterflies.
But yeah, so
Or infatuation.
or infatuate, right? So it's hard.
All of
That's
the
where
above.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to differentiate depending on the phase of life that you are in. And I'll jump the gun here because I do think the spark is important to some extent, because how I think about this is like, I don't want to be embarrassed about the person that I'm with. So like, I think that's a disservice to the person. You should like the person that you're with, right? You should be attracted in whatever way that's important to you. Because if you're just like, but they're great and I'm going to stay, man, I would be like sad if I was the other person and I heard that my person just like wants to stay, but they don't
Right.
want to, they don't
Right.
like me. Like, that's pretty sad. But so I think it's important. Is it overrated? Yeah, I do think it is, because of what you just said, the
Right.
different definitions. Is it infatuation? Is it just, or is it like real chemistry? I think that's hard to differentiate.
Lots
So-
to unpack there, but let's get to Mia's definition.
Can I just say what she said?
Okay.
Just because
Okay.
when we were discussing this, right, in our brainstorming call or whatever, I think, when you said the spark, I also immediately thought, and I think I said it, like chemistry, the chemistry
Yes.
that you have with this other person. And somehow you just connect, conversations would just flow. There's no awkward silence, even though you just meet this other person. So it is definitely the initial reaction to somebody that you just knew.
Right. I think there's two. I separated into two. What Quantum was saying too is the initial spark, the initial attraction, like you guys are saying, that gives you these like butterflies or that nervous energy.
That initial jolt of
Yes.
excitement.
Yes.
Excitement, yeah. I think it's
And
more
then,
excitement.
but then what you said, Quan, about sustain, like while you're then in the relationship, I think then you equate the spark to attraction.
For sure.
Okay.
I think if you have a spark, you're attracted to the person. Yeah.
Whereas
but you're saying like the continue, like it,
the
the honeymoon,
continuation,
the honeymoon,
or
is,
just like you said, the person is not like, I'm just gonna stay in this relationship because it's stable, but like there's a genuine like attraction for that person. Is that what you mean?
So that's a good one. What did I mean?
Right. No,
So
I
think the spark turns into that. It feeds.
Right.
It's like that. It feeds into that.
Yeah.
Like that's the ideal, right?
And by the way,
'Cause-
people are arguing over this, by
yeah.
the way, right?
That
On
is
the
hilarious.
internet about what the spark is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ideally, it turns into that. Because like sometimes, right? Usually, then there's a term like the spark goes away, and so
Yes.
that's why it's
Right.
like. I do think people there's a difference. Spark goes away, and there's just kind of some hard patches. There's a difference.
That's
I
right.
think, there. Yeah.
Yes. So the common question people ask is, so we're asking something different. Like I'm asking, like, what do you think about this spark concept? Do you think it's necessary? What I want to know from you guys is, do you think it's necessary in a long-term relationship? Because we all get into relationships differently, right? But on the internet, people are asking, if we don't have the spark anymore, should I still stay with them? Which I think is a whole nother concept, but they use the word spark.
Yeah, it's a very subjective question.
Yeah.
Because like, what is that? So to me, the spark means a connection, chemistry, in whatever. It could be
Right.
physical, intellectual, emotional, like something that connects you and it makes you.
Right.
Because like you're gonna go through hard times.
So
like,
because I got thoughts on that. But first, what are your thoughts on like Oh, I mean, I can just speak for myself. Like, Yi and I didn't have like a spark when we first dated. Like, we had chemistry in that we had a lot in common. Okay, we had a lot in common. We were both easy to get along with. I was very easy to get along with. So it's like, I could accommodate her needs more.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But I
important.
would not say there was a spark. In fact, she probably, if I didn't kept pestering her about like a month in about like go like continue to date me, she would probably have broken up by the third week. Because she was just like, I don't have to be in a relationship. He's a nice guy, But yeah, there was no like, oh, is he gonna call me? She was like, I don't know if I want to call him. I don't know if I want to call anybody. Like she was like not about the relationship at the time.
Would feel like that.
Yeah.
I feel that.
But then like I was just like not taking no for an answer.
That's amazing.
So
On both
and then
parts.
it like okay, and then she was like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. She like developed deeper feelings for me, right?
Okay.
But I would argue we didn't have that like I have to see them all the time. I miss them. If they don't call me, I'm like, that like like collegey, typical
like Hollywoody.
yeah,
maybe.
Hollywoody, and also like I've had that before in college or whatever in high school when you first experience it, like puppy love, and then high school young love, and then college you're just like, hey, whatever, hey. And then like your adult life, I think it also
Dance phases.
is more so yeah, like even like before I was in a serious relationship, I think I grew out of the spark.
Oh.
Yeah, and I don't feel bad about it.
Oh,
And
okay.
it wasn't
that
even
sounds good.
there at the beginning.
Yeah, like not the definition that people are talking about, like that initial like
Attraction.
where you just like are completely infatuated with that
Yep.
person and how they make you feel.
So were you always just rational then?
No, because before I
Trying to understand.
No, like in college, I was very much like spark. Because I was like more of a hopeless romantic in college.
I can't take it seriously.
Little earnest.
Because I'd be like, oh my God. Because I'd be like, we had this spark. Why do they not want to see me again? And I'm
okay,
like,
interesting. Okay.
like I have that.
Okay.
And I'm like, and then when I got older, I'm like, you're a loser.
Your
Why
spark
are you-"
is dim.
It's like, this is so, because it's meaningless to me. It's like, it's because it's selfish. And actually.
Oh, say more.
Okay. Well, they have a term for it.
Oh,
What?
do you want to share it?
Well, I like to hear it. Well, I mean, I was going to read you guys more.
So,
but I'd like to hear
sorry, what was
more.
your question again? I lost track.
Like, is a spark important
Is the
yeah.
spark important?
to you?
To
Yeah.
you, yeah.
Okay.
In the period that you're in now.
I do think so.
Okay.
I do think so. I don't really understand because you said people get into relationships differently. So I typically would look for spark
And
or
how do you define the
connection or
spark?
chemistry, the
Okay,
connection,
connection.
because if it wasn't there, then like if I was like Yi, at that point I wouldn't go
Yeah. Yeah,
Out.
she almost, yeah. was
at
like,
all. Like no,
Right.
yeah. So if there was
No.
like, no, I don't want to hang out unless. Well, I mean, if you're like a pleasant person, that probably yeah. But then
Right.
if there was no attraction, then I'm just not going to
Because you
continue.
probably also didn't want to lead them on or any, right? Like
Yeah.
that part too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't think attraction could grow?
Yeah.
Yeah, so your wife and I used to have this conversation quite a lot back in the days, and I'm like, I don't know how you can just grow into liking somebody over time
I think
if there
Yi-
was no
I mean,
initial
I think both
attraction.
our wives. I think we're literally in the same category, right?
Yes, we are.
Like,
Live
here are
examples in front
two-
of you.
Liam, like, you have proof right in front of you. Like, both of our wives at one point was like, not like, yeah, I'm so attracted to them. In fact, there were probably more things they were like complaining about. But we kept at it and we persevered. And look at us now. So take your spark and shove it up. No,
Shove it
I'm
up
not.
where?
Yeah, I'm like not disagreeing with you. I think you have to have attraction
Yeah.
somehow. Like otherwise, how do you even approach somebody?
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Will the spark be there forever? Maybe not.
No, I mean like eventually it turns into something else, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But what about you? Like, what's your definition? Do you think it's important?
So I think I agree with you a little bit, as in you're like, you said like, I don't care for the spark right now, or I don't believe in it, like in this when you're like out of college. I think you are never going to get the spark that you had the first time you ever got a spark.
Yes.
So I think that is pretty unique, at least to me. That's pretty unique. And so I still think you get little bits of it. I think it's important for a relationship, but I do think that love can grow, like attraction
Yes.
can grow, because the spark is nice, but it's not imperative to a relationship, right? It's like some respect and attraction, I think, are like, you got to like the person.
Yes.
And the spark can go away.
Respect
but if you
very
like,
important.
right. If you, but if you, right. If when you go through a hard patch, you got to remember, but I want to do it for this person.
Yep.
And if you don't want to, if you don't like that person, I don't think it's going to last. Like truly, I don't think it's going to last. So I still like, am like you, Mia. I do think like I feel it in like literally like my body, like my gut, like I'll feel it.
Imagine your heart being on a flat line, right? And then like you like
You're already dead.
jolt it
Yeah.
back to life.
Uh-huh.
That is what the spark does. It like, then you're like, oh, this person is here.
But can I say quite unrealistic, right? Especially as we get older.
True.
And that's why I say the first one feels like that. I do think so. But I just don't. And maybe just because we get older and we get jaded and we get more protective of our heart, like whatever it is, it's like you don't actually, I don't think I let myself get there anymore, because when the first one, it was like a bad relationship.
So what were you like then? Because I feel like I'm pretty good at self-regulating too.
Oh, what do you mean? Like
even though the spark is there, I feel like I'm not gonna go like.
So,
Yeah,
but I'm talking
yeah.
about the first one, right? Now
Yeah.
I like can't even imagine me in that position at
Yeah.
all. Like
Yeah.
I would never be in that position now. And so now, yeah, like I might like be like, oh, there's a spark, but it's like, it's never
little
gonna work
spark.
out. It's like
Yeah.
all these things.
Like you
spark.
need something, but you're like proceeding with caution.
Yeah. Or
'Cause
like
you
with
yeah.
with some
With
logic
logic and
Yes.
like
yeah.
yeah.
But
Rationale.
I think this is very natural.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
the way, okay, Mas, what about you?
Yeah, I
Anything-
mean, I still think the spark is like it's like that excitement,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that gut feeling, and it's kind of it's kind of like a high.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, like, sparks fade,
Yes, they do.
and so if you keep chasing that, I feel like that's a wrong incentive or like the wrong
Yes.
thing to chase,
Yes.
right? Because
You're never gonna be satisfied.
exactly,
Yeah.
that's the thing. So because like every relationship, as you said, is going to have a rough patch, so you have to
Yep.
figure out how to navigate that. So if you're just looking for the next best thing, that's not going to last, right?
No.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And like also true for like us, it was like no spark for the longest time.
Yeah.
Like neither of us were interested in each other.
Yep.
And something just changed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
And then it was just like, oh, like, yeah, we were interested, but it was like, oh, like, can this work? Like, we don't have that many like similar interests even, right? Or like
Right.
hobbies.
Right.
And like I was like, oh, okay, so it's just like you have to learn how to compromise, all of that, right?
But like but when you feel deep down, there's just some unexplainable phenomenon, and that's probably like what Chinese people say, like yuan fin. Like you can't explain
Like there's
it.
no other way to explain
Yeah.
it.
You develop love for the person, and if you're like a maturing and learning from your past experience, and you are in the process of bettering yourself and looking at your mistakes, I think that will last far beyond the spark. I
Sure.
think most people in society get complete, watch Hollywood movies and
Yeah.
list,
Hollywood movies,
Hollywood
like
movies,
social media, of,
social
like, how-
media,
yeah.
and
K-dramas.
K-dramas, and they have an unrealistic. They become extremely like. And first of all, they don't have like a very deep spiritual core, and they they're probably like, oh, this is what this person's saying, or this is what this magazine is saying, or this is what society tells me. Like I should be happy, I should be
Right.
attracted to the person, I should have this, and then what happens? Like more than 50% of people divorce now.
Yeah. Like
So-
going back to what you were reading, like people are like, the spark is gone. What should I do?
Yeah.
Should I leave? And so
Yeah.
that,
Those people got ripped, by the way, because it's like, oh well.
like when
then-
times get tough, you're just
Yeah.
gonna bail.
like then because yeah, like well then are you just chasing? And then like people go into it too, like no, I've been married for for this long, and I'm just not attracted to the person anymore. I'm like, that's a problem, bro. Like, okay, so they're like the mother or the father of your children. You have this like 20. What I don't understand is like, how can you be married for like 20, 30 years and then they blame. See, I also feel like people blame it. It's such an easy blame thing. It says, oh, we got divorced because we don't have the spark anymore. I'm like, BS. Like, you're telling me like the 30, 40 years spent together means nothing? No, you just want to like have other, options. Like, just at least just man up and be like, you know
I
what?
got bored.
I got bored.
And we, yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Well, that's
You
what
know?
they're saying though, that there's no spark and I'm bored. That is kind of what
Well,
they're saying.
boo-hoo,
But
it's
they're-
life.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's okay. So if I don't have enough money, I go rob a bank. Like, because people are like, well, that's a crime, Dan. It's not a crime to divorce. Well, in a lot of in a lot of religions, it's a sin to steal. It's a sin to divorce.
All
It's
right. So then how do you keep that attraction alive, right?
Very good question. Right. I
Dr.
think,
Dan.
Okay, so for me, respect is one thing. Is when you, I think when you start to notice you're not caring, you're not as considerate as you once were, that's the time where you need to self-reflect and ask yourself why. Because you should always, it's okay, like, we're always going to have ups and downs, right?
You're going to disagree.
You're going to disagree.
Yeah.
There's going to be periods where, like, he's like, wow, you don't do this anymore. And then I'm like, at first I'm like, yo, what are you talking about? And then I'm like, that is true. Like, how come I don't do that anymore? And then so I will be like, oh, yeah, because I'm taking things for granted because I always blame it on being busy. And then it's up to you at that time. Like, you can make the extra effort to do something special, or you just go, no, it's fine. So I tried to not be that, like, try not to get complacent. So if I feel like most people, if they get complacent long enough, they start blaming everything. No spark, lost interest. And then at the end, it's like, yeah, like, what are they going to do? Then it becomes like, I'm unhappy, so why should I stay in this relationship if I'm unhappy?
And then
Yeah,
other people
like,
would just encourage that.
of course, because they're your friends. They'll be
Yeah.
like, of course, you're not
You're
happy.
too good for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Your kids are grown anyways. They don't care. You know, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay,
Yeah.
then you can just escape.
Yeah, a lot of this chasing happiness thing is just, to me, it's like like there's no end to it, right?
Yeah.
And like I was reading on there's like a relationship subreddit, and then it was like, oh, like my husband of however many years like never buys me gifts.
Yeah.
And it's like, should I divorce him?
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then I was like, like, I mean, I'm sure it's not just a give thing, but it's like it culminated in
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And like, and the one time, like the lady did tell her husband that, and he got her gifts, but they were all the things that he wanted.
Yeah.
So like, there's clearly bigger
Right.
issues there, but
Right,
it's just
exactly.
like, but it was just like, oh, should I divorce him?
Yeah.
Like that's like,
Wow. So it's like, just goes from darn to darn.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's so I think what we were talking about earlier, the unrealistic expectations of what you see in the media, what you see on social media, and people don't, I think, fully grasp how hard it is to talk about conflict in a relationship. And I think that's a shock to it was shocking to me in the beginning. It's like, man, it's really hard. It's really hard to like commit to a person and keep it going for so
Especially
long
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you aren't aware of like how much work that is, I do think it can be like, oh my gosh, I didn't sign up, or like I didn't know what I
This
was
is
getting
not what
myself.
I wanted.
It's-
This is not what I wanted. And so I think there's that, but then also like really reflect on if this is a person that you want to be with, because
Yeah.
I think it might be convenient at the time. It might look really good. Like, oh, we are such a good match.
Yeah.
Right. We are like the aesthetic is, or whatever, like the checklist is there, but like, this is somebody that you're going to like go to battle with and also battle with. So like, I think people don't like comprehend that. It's hard. So it can be hard to do.
You're just laughing at Mia's reaction.
What is
It's like,
Mia's
what is
reaction?
Mia thinking? What's she thinking?
I don't know why he keeps looking at me.
I think if the other if your partner expresses displeasure and you don't even like look within to be like, oh, what am I doing to cause it?
That's a red
Like,
flag, y'all.
Yo, what? It's unfathomable to me that if you love and respect this person, that you would want to have them experience unhappiness at all.
Yeah, because even
You know?
like the gifts thing, like from that Reddit thread you're talking about, I feel like if I was that person, I would feel so selfish being like,
Yeah.
I want you to buy me gifts. So then
Yeah.
you like push it under the rug and then you never talk about it. But then it's like literally this person, for whatever reason, feels love when you buy them gifts. And
Love
maybe
Is there
language.
love
Love
Check
language?
out our
Is there
love language episode, guys.
plug, plug. But and then this other guy might just not know how to do that.
Right.
Be
Right.
bad, literally be bad at it. Let's say he tried, he's bad at it.
Yeah.
So then you're
I'm really bad at giving gifts.
right.
And
Really
like, yeah,
bad.
the lady also described like, you know, the husband was fine at everything else.
Yeah.
It was just that one thing, and she felt
Oh.
very underappreciated.
Newsflash.
Interesting.
No one's perfect.
Yeah. So did you guys ever watch Indian Matchmaker? Or
I've
I
heard about
love
it.
it.
I've heard
I
about
watched
it. Yeah.
it.
People
I
love
haven't
that
started.
show.
It's so good.
Yeah, people love
like,
it. I've heard
the
really
first
good things.
season was good. The second season is great in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
And like what I really like about it is that it's like all these clients go to this lady to matchmake, right?
Right.
And so they have all these like requirements and things like that, and she'll take a look like no, like I can find you maybe 60 or 70% of your requirements.
Yeah.
The rest you have to compromise on. Because first of all,
So interesting.
because
That
first of
is
all,
really
it's like
Yes.
whatever it is you're
Yes.
looking for might not even be right for you. This is
Right.
what you think you
Right.
want, right? And second, this person might not even exist.
Right. And life lesson, you need to learn how to compromise, sacrifice. That's the
Yeah.
balance of the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
it's like the give and go, and then so it's not just what you're looking for. Like the other
Yeah.
person also has requirements too that are also
So true.
impossibly high. So the both of you have to like kind of drop it down a little.
And how selfish it is if you just are that. What if it's like to be that person to want, just be like, I want my perfect guy to give me everything I want. Like, first of all, are you even worth that? What's to say that you're worth that? Because if you
But it
found the
happens
perfect
in
guy,
movies all the time.
exactly.
You know, Prince Charming falls in love
Yeah.
with a regular girl.
which destroys our, a lot, honestly, like obviously pop culture movies and these romanticized versions of love hurts us rather than, because in the past you turn to your mom or your dad or your family to
For
pass
advice?
down advice and wisdom, and now we see that as like limiting. Oh, they're not open-minded.
right, they're old school.
They're old school.
Yeah.
But then some of the stuff can be
Yeah, yeah.
like if they're not tolerant of other people, but if they're just giving you good advice, like listen, it's not bad advice to be like, you should,
Think about it.
think about it.
Yeah.
Maybe like if this person does care about like social status and money and stuff, okay, you should date within your same social status. Like don't even try to do otherwise. Or like if you want somebody to reciprocate things that it's important to you, maybe you should find that then. If it's not about money or status, it's more about like maybe lifestyle, like, or be in line with your goals. You know what I mean?
But that's why the movie, he's just not that into you,
Yeah.
I think is
That's my
unique
printer.
in that way. Is unique in that
Yes.
way. They actually make it a point. They make fun of that, right? They
Yeah.
make fun of their great scenes where, right, the girl goes to her girlfriends
Yeah.
and they're like, no, like he'll call.
Yeah.
Like he'll call. He probably just missed it. Like, why wouldn't he want to date you? And like that's right, literally the title of the movie. It's not. I think people take it so. I think younger people particularly take it so personally, but like he's just not that into you, and it's not a bad thing, because if he's not into you, he's not right for you. And why do you want
Move
someone
on.
who's not into you?
Right.
You want someone who's into you. But it's a good movie. And then the guy, Justin Long's character, is really straight with
Yeah. I mean, he's an
He's
a-hole.
just great.
He's
Oh, I
definitely an
think
a-hole.
it's
Like,
that.
no, he's an
not
a-hole.
that bad. Oh,
no, like the
party?
character.
I didn't think he was that bad.
No, he's straight, but like straight as in like he's straightforward.
yeah.
But he definitely like, you could tell like he had a physical relationship with a girl at his work, and yeah, he didn't want to lead her on, but he's also like, listen, if you want to be with
yes.
me, Like, this is what it is. I'm going to lay out my things.
Yes,
you know?
there are guys like that. And they're like, and if you fall for me, well, that's on you.
And I'm like,
and that is a little a-holy.
Yeah, I just sorry. I'm
Yeah.
like, we don't casually, like, at least for me, like,
Yeah.
you're not casually just like, okay, I'm gonna just like fool around with the world.
Jennifer Goodwin calls him out on it.
Yeah, she's like looking for love.
Yeah.
You know, this character is like, she for her she's not even thinking about the spark. She's just like, whoever likes me, I'm gonna like them.
No, I know, but she not in the beginning. She's like, whoever I like, I'm gonna like go for it because she reads into like everything, and
Right.
she gets a lot of failure in the beginning, and then Justin Long's like, yeah, he's not gonna call you.
They don't end up together.
They do.
Oh, I can't remember.
They do.
And who ends up with Drew Barrymore?
The ScarJo guy. Remember?
Oh, the nice guy.
The nice guy. The assumed.
Oh, so he's got a nice ending too. And who does ScarJo end up with?
She doesn't end up with anyone.
Right, and it's fine too because she's like,
fine. She's like, I gotta reflect on myself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, anyways,
Mia, do you have something to say? Mia's like,
I'm like
giggle,
lost
giggle
in
over
this
here.
conversation. So lost. No, but when you were saying somebody to go to battle with, somebody to battle with, and I'm like, somebody to battle against.
okay.
It's
Are
real.
you thinking of your
No,
parents?
it's real. That usually happens later in life, but yes, it will happen.
I think it can happen right from the get-go too. Just depends on how it goes.
It's true.
Yeah.
So somebody actually defined. Okay, so I'm gonna define the spark as that very specific feeling in the beginning of a certain relationship where you get these butterflies. There's uncertainty and there's infatuation. It's not chemistry. To me, chemistry. I don't. There's a clear distinction between chemistry, which is like, yeah, I feel like there's like some chemistry here. Like we, like there's something here. The spark is this like it's illogical.
Yeah, you're defining it in the more negative light. But
Of
what
course.
if there's like a positive spark, right? Because what if you have chemistry with a lot of people, but then there's
why would that be illogical?
Defined by
infatuation
so
part.
the term. So they term it as limerence.
What is that?
Okay.
Dan just shows us a Wikipedia article.
Limerence is a state of mind which results from romantic or non-romantic feelings for another person and typically includes intrusive, melancholic thoughts and or tragic concerns for the object of one's affection, as well as desire to form and maintain a relationship.
Hold on. Is that
Wait, what? I don't know. Explain it.
No, it's like you're
just sounds like
infatuated.
obsession.
Yeah, you're infatuated with the person and you can't stop thinking about them.
Melancholy.
Yes,
That's
exactly. It's an
non-romantic.
attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even in your like normal states,
not a-
you're
Yes.
still
That's not
thinking about the person.
infatuation.
That's not a spark.
Also,
That's not spark either.
also like it's selfish in my
Maybe
opinion.
obsession.
It's like how they make you feel. And then this feeling in the for most people, I think they chase it until they realize, like Jennifer Goodwin's character is like, oh yeah, I shouldn't be chasing this. Like we all grew up, like we've had our relationships where there was like a clear spark, and then you realize, wow, that was an unhealthy relationship.
Oh.
And then now you're
She
like
was obsessed with him.
both, or you're obsessed with him and he's just not that into you, and then you're like, oh my god, or whatever, and then or I'm like, oh, I was really into this person, and then like they're not into me, and I'm like hurt, and then you're like, wait a minute, this isn't real or sustainable, and then but I feel like most people would go through that, and then later like it's less important. So I will say the spark is attraction is important because nature. How do you go talk to? How do two people even talk to each other if there's no attraction?
Right, you need an entry point.
That's the laws of nature. This is called the laws of attraction. So I don't see that as the spark. To me, that's more like chemistry, is like attraction.
So you need more for it to be a spark.
No, I think you're defining it in like the negative obsession way, just the
When
negative way.
When people say I've lost the spark or they're searching for a spark, I'm like, yo, the spark is a myth. Because it's like limerence and what you're looking for to
Limerence.
satisfy yourself. I think chemistry and attraction is important because how do you even like propel yourself to go ask them out and to continue dating them? Because that's weird. That's like Like,
I
you know
mean,
what
I think the colloquial term for limerence would be like that excitement,
yeah,
right?
butterflies.
Spark. Yeah. So
Yeah, exactly. So that is-
I think
yeah,
we
that
think
is
about
spark,
it differently
but
because
not-
excitement is like this positive thing.
And it doesn't-
No, excitement is
obsession
no.
might be the-
Excitement is positive,
Yes.
but it goes away.
Yes.
And so it's like you're chasing that high. So it's I
think
don't,
that's
I
no,
don't
but
see
I
it
feel
as
like
like
obsession is a
Yeah, I
better
feel like
word
we're
for
not
this.
even defining the word spark the same way.
We're not.
Yeah.
We're not. Because I'm definitely seeing it as a negative connotation.
Right.
Whereas they might be seeing it as chemistry and
It can
like
be.
excitement.
I see it both. It could be negative or positive.
I feel like there's a clear when people ask this about the spark, it's clear that they're referring to this complete melancholic infatuation. And Yi actually has a very, it's like she goes, it's that emotion where you're unsure if he's gonna call you. It's actually a negative thing. So she's like, basically, like when you're like unsure if they're into you at that moment, but there's that excitable energy. People see that that's what butterflies are, and to me that's negative.
oh.
Like, because you're seeking, like, it's like
Wow,
you're putting
that's a
yourself
very
through.
subtle
Yeah.
like subset of the
I mean, I just know because I've been there a million
entire
times where I'm like, I don't even think she likes me, but like the excitement of maybe seeing her at this party, and like we've already like hooked up once or twice or whatever. Like, this is way back in the time. Okay? This is like not. This is like we're talking about like literally 20 years ago, in college.
Isn't
right?
this like limbo? I would describe this as
Yes,
limbo.
I would say it's like, yeah, but like
but-
people. But then but you've already hooked up, so there's a chemistry
But
and
then
there's a
you
spark.
would know soon, right? Whether or
So
not
it's
they're
like-
interested.
I mean, yeah, that's toxic, right? Like
Toxic,
that's
yes.
negative. That's
Yeah.
definitely like
I
because
see
it's
the-
like
yeah.
it's okay.
I
That's
see
very,
chasing
very
us-
specific.
yeah.
It is.
But
It
but
is.
if you see
But
spark
I
as
see what
like
you're saying.
a chemistry
Yeah,
and
like
and
exciting.
excitement, that's just normal. Like, you should be excited to see the person you're dating. Like, even in our cases, it's not like when I say there was no spark, I mean there was like no nervous, weird energy. Okay, but like even I can speak for you. Of course, when you're with that person, because when I was with Yi, I was excited, and she was too. But there wasn't that like
Nervous.
Well, because at that
Nervous
point,
and-
because
yeah.
at that point, you guys already know how the other person feels.
Well, for them, they did because they knew each other for like 6 years. But for me, it was like a new relationship. We should have been
Okay, question.
in that phase, but we weren't.
Yeah. So question then for you. So how did you, so there was still a little bit of unknown, right? Like at some point,
Yeah,
but
but
you
it
just weren't
wasn't-
nervous about it.
Yeah, but like that's not what drove us. Like, the more we got to know each other, then the more like she felt strongly for me. I was always attracted to her from the beginning, so for me that wasn't the issue. You know, I think it's also.
But then you
different
never
for
felt
guys.
like you never felt unsure of how she felt about
I mean, at
you?
that point in my life, I was like, we're gonna end up together. So I'm like, okay, like.
She'll.
I'm
she'll
the
find
one.
out.
She
Like,
doesn't
I'm
know
like,
it yet.
I am
She
the
doesn't
one
know
for
it.
you. Like, you just don't know it yet. I literally like, you don't know it yet, but I am. But I'm nice. I'm not like forceful about it. I'm not a jerk about it. You know, I was just like.
So you would
Yeah.
not I guess you would not describe that as a spark for you.
There wasn't in that sense there wasn't a spark between. You
Definitely
can ask
not
her
the
too,
negative
yeah.
one. Like, obviously
Definitely,
it's not
but
that,
not even
like
like.
a,
But we like I was excited to see each other. Like we were, we had a
because you were
great
like she's
time.
the one, and
Yeah.
a lot of people I feel like would kind of describe that sometimes with like
Yeah, but
the beginning.
you know what? I didn't have any of those, like
The top- yeah,
those like butterfly
Nervous
feelings
energy.
that would
it's calm.
that I know. Yeah, it was just like I'm ready for a relationship.
I mean, I think
You know what I
that shows like the mature, maybe that phase of
And
you were
that's
just
me, though.
mature.
Yeah, I'm not saying like
Yeah.
that's the right or wrong.
Yeah,
That's why when I read about this, I'm like, come on, guys. Like,
mature.
yeah, I gotta grow up. And then especially like when you're in I think the real stuff that you got to work on is once you're married, like it becomes hard to maintain
Yeah.
the love and the respect
Yes.
because if you don't work on it,
Yeah.
then it's all about like working. I didn't realize what people meant by work on a relationship, you know, because I didn't work on my first relationship, and then 3 years later it died. So
Yeah.
the second one, I was like, okay, I'm going to take every opportunity to work on myself. And it has so happened I met the right one. I didn't have to like meet a bunch of other randos, you know, like luckily, like, I got lucky. You know what I mean?
Well, now you really know how to work on your relationship.
Well, I don't. I would say I'm not. You would be like, oh yeah, but he's not. He's pretty dead. Like I'm still not like.
There's
the
always
best
room
I
to
can be
improve.
at it.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's always room to
yeah.
improve.
Yeah, I set the bar low so I can like improve.
Work
steadily,
yourself up.
Guys, what do I always say?
Yeah.
The key to happiness is
Exactly.
low expectation.
Like otherwise, like if you go right away, like and then the expectations get higher, like dude, we're still guys, like we're still guys. Like I forget stuff. She'll tell me 1,000 times. I'm sorry. Like and at one point, like there's something she got really angry at the fact that I can be so careless to like leave my keys, and I seriously try to work on this. I leave my wallet. I leave my keys. Forgetfulness, right? But like only with certain things, because you don't forget to like say pay your bill. You just don't pay your bill on time, right? Or like you don't forget something that's certain things, but like I will literally like leave my phone in somewhere, and I'm like, and at one point I was like, all right, dude, I've tried. This is me. Like I'm gonna keep trying, but you gotta understand. I will next week leave my keys, lock myself out. It will happen.
That's such great
Right?
communication, though. Like acceptance and like talking it out.
She doesn't quite accept it, but I was like, listen,
So-
okay, I'll bet.
As in like reminding, because it's like there are some things that you won't be able to change. It's a good conversation to have. I feel like those pillars of conversation, you could just not have them,
Right.
and then they'll build,
Right.
and then you just get more irritated. It's harder to have them. That's the thing about communication, right? It's like the less you do it, the harder it is.
Right.
And like,
yeah. I think the conflict resolution is a big part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like people say, okay, after a while, that if you define the spark as like that initial, not the negative kind, but also not like chemistry, but just like that maybe like euphoric happiness.
Yes.
Does.
I think that's a good way of
Yeah.
putting it.
Yeah. That's the excitement I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that's what you chase.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's like negative or positive.
Yeah.
It's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Because you can always take it a positive thing and turn it negative, right? If you
So-
go too into it.
But see, my question is like, so do you just not get excited anymore? That's what it sounds like.
that's
they're
what
saying.
it sounds like people are saying.
But how's that possible? Because like,
No, I think it's like it's like a next level kind of excitement,
Yeah.
right? So like we're still excited when we see our
that's right.
significant
And,
others.
or like when we go on a trip, when we go to dinner, when we go do something fun, whatever, you
Yeah.
name it,
Yeah.
right?
Right. But that's like when you hear it's like, oh, like when you've gone on multiple dates, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we have chemistry but no spark.
Right.
Right? Like you still like it's still good conversation and still whatever, right?
I don't see how one can-
also, it's
How
so.
one can
Like you,
exist
you can have
without
good
the other.
conversation.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, but
Okay,
you're just not
yes,
excited
I
about
get
that
that.
person.
I also
I
think
heard it
it's
right now.
overrated because
Yeah, it's overrated.
if you for example, like Ian and I have extremely boring lives. Okay, I will tell you right now, we don't do a lot of spontaneous things. We don't travel the world. We're not like doing crazy things. Our idea of a great evening is literally staying at home, ordering takeout or cooking food, passing out on the couch, like watching Netflix, right? And we do that. We will pick that over like anything. So people can say, oh, you guys lost the spark. There's no spark. There's no romance, right? Okay. There is no romance because I am not a romantic guy. All right. I'm sorry. That is me. You got to accept it. I'm not a romantic guy. I
our
do
test,
acts
I
of
think-
service. Remember?
Yep. Yep.
But I am not like romantic. And sometimes, and she's fine with it. If she wanted more romance, she'd tell me because she's very direct. But she'll joke sometimes like, dude, the romance is dead. And sometimes like, I'm like, yeah, should we be like more romantic? And I'm like, nope.
Yep. That's
Because other people, like your peers or your friends, is like, especially when they post something like, he's so romantic, da da da. And then you're like, oh my God, the girl will be like, why don't you do that for me? And then it's like, the
pressure.
romance is dead. The
Yeah.
spark is dead. Like,
It's like external pressure or something.
yeah. And I'm not saying like be complacent, but I'm like,
Right.
it's weird. Like, there's no spark. There's no like, oh, but you know, we genuinely enjoy each other's company.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, like,
Right. I mean, it's not like you bum around or something like that, right? It's like you still do stuff. It's
yeah,
just different.
but it's not like,
It's
Yeah,
different.
it's not like the big gesture or like whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever is like more stereotypical.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right.
it's
I
also,
think
yeah.
you gotta dig deeper
Yeah.
for that to
But if it's important to that person, like somebody said, the gift thing, right?
Yeah.
If that person the love again. I thought the
It's a
love
love-
language thing was really important because it's
Yeah.
like if that person's like to show me that you love me and that you still care.
Yeah.
I want you to take me, sweep me away somewhere every year. Okay, you should do that then, because that's what they expect. You know.
So the moral of the story is you got to do these personality tests, love language,
Yes.
Stop watching.
Meet
stop-
expectations.
meet expectation,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
meet expectation, but have a low expectation
Yeah.
Going into it.
at the same
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like for the Indian matchmaker,
Yeah.
in addition to the actual matchmaking, they also interview like older couples. So like older married couples who had arranged marriages.
Yeah.
And it was actually really interesting because they're all of them are basically like, yeah, like we basically got married after meeting him for the first time. I only had a conversation for like 20 minutes. And I didn't really like him at first, but now I really enjoy him. Now I love him,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Wow.
And it's like consistent theme.
Yep.
It's very interesting.
And also in Harry Met Sally, I know that's a movie, but when they interview those couples in the beginning, and they're all old, and there you do read about people ask older couples like, "Okay, what's the secret of your marriage?" You
Yeah.
know?
Yep.
And honestly, today the times have changed so much with dating and these apps that it's almost impossible to stay together if you're not super strong in terms of like your own self, because as soon as you're not getting what it is that you're getting from that person, because that's usually what makes people cheat and break up and like divorce, right? You're not getting something, you're not feeling loved. You could literally pop on, somebody could DM you, somebody at work, and all these people nowadays are like, I don't want a relationship anyway, so they could just be like, all right, let's go sleep around.
Easy distraction.
Yeah, because they don't want a relationship either. And it's so easy to get into that now. And that's why like so many 50-year-olds I know are divorced, and they're like, I'm divorced. Yay, I'm free. It's like, wow, it's so sad.
It
you
is
know?
sad because
like
you're
crazy.
saying like without like something to guide you, the restraint isn't there.
And
right?
also society now tells you that it's totally okay
to pursue happiness,
at
however you
all
define
costs.
happiness.
At all costs.
Yeah.
So like now if you stay together, I'm like shocked. I'm really shocked because even people I know my age now that I'm like, yo, you guys seem really good. Nope. Everyone I know at some point has gone through tough times, and most of them don't make it out. It's really sad. It's really sad.
Don't believe what you see on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
also-
for sure.
Yeah, but
It's
also
'cause it all
with
shows all the
like
good
with
times.
social media, it's like a new level of narcissism,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. You have to prove it, right?
Yeah,
Like
right. And like you see what other people are like posting, like fakely about of
Yeah.
like their life and things like that. It's like, oh, I want that life, but
Yep.
it's fake.
And it also takes two to tango, like
Yeah.
the guys don't get 100% of the blame, and the girls don't get 100% of the blame.
Yeah.
But-
for
Right.
sure.
Right. Like going back to that Reddit example
You know?
of the gift giving thing. That was like
Yep.
a two-way thing.
For
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, he should give better gifts.
Yeah, or like
Listen more.
be
Yeah.
more thoughtful kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also to what you said earlier about just like guys just like, or like just people finding out being more selfish and just leaving relationships. Do you remember Bobby Lee? Like
Yeah, the comedian? Okay.
Right? So he split up with his longtime girlfriend or whatever relationship he had, and like he's just like, yeah, like I just don't want to be in a relationship anymore, and that's why they broke up. He's like, I just don't want obligations. I just
Yeah.
do what I want to do
Dang.
at that moment.
Who am I to judge Bobby Lee? But it's like,
I mean, it's
wow.
a very attractive proposition.
It
You
can
just-
be.
Yeah.
you-
Yeah.
It can be.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
It was. I mean, it was just so interesting because it's like they were together for so long, and it's like it's just kind of mind-boggling,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess if you don't have kids, it's easier. But
Yes.
so regardless now, like so many people, they have kids and they're just like, whatever. Tom Brady and Giselle. Whose
True.
fault is it?
Oh,
Don't
it's very
matter.
sad.
It don't matter whose fault it is. It's both of their faults.
Very wise.
They have two children. He has another kid from another relationship.
Oh, prior.
Sad. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, anyways,
We
That
started this
note.
discussion on a high, and we're
On a
like,
high.
spark.
Oh yeah.
And then we ended on this note.
do we
did,
have
did.
last comments about
Mia,
this
take
part?
us out on a high note.
Yeah.
What pressure?
I don't know how to.
Oh, do you have any like last words about your thoughts on this topic?
Have
Chemistry
we-
sparked?
have you had any new insight into the spark now?
No, I mean the spark is the spark, and it will always be the spark. But I think it's just a matter of quote
Independent
2022. No, but I think it's just a matter of also self-regulation, right? To also realize and try to be a little bit cognizant about this whole thing. And we're not saying that I don't think you should, like, you should avoid spark, but at the same time knowing that it may
What
go
it-
away,
it
but
may,
then
yep.
at the same time you just gotta deal
Yeah.
through the ebbs and flows.
And
Yeah.
build a foundation
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the relationship.
I think to end on a high note,
Okay,
I think
take
that
us
there
out.
is I think I'll speak for myself. I think it's really easy to avoid like the spark and to avoid because it's easier to not be in a relationship. And only recently, this is why I'm going to vouch for the positive side of the spark because a relationship can be exciting. Like it can be
Yeah.
like a light. Like it doesn't have to be this dark, dreary, this is so much work situation, which honestly, like I've felt that for a very long time because
Yeah.
it is just so much work. Even if both people are cool. It's
That's
there's no
another
sucky
topic for
person.
another time. It shouldn't be so much work that you're like, oh my god, why is it so hard? You know,
Right.
it should be like
Right.
happy times, some work. Happy times, some work. There should be a
Right.
balance.
And so there can be, I think there can, that's why
Yeah.
I vouch for the positive side of the spark because it goes to, I think we're saying the same thing, Dan. There's the excitement, there's like this, attraction, there's this chemistry there, and that is what is going to get you through. You're going to, that's what defines how you like someone. That's what's going to get you through the rough times.
Yep.
So like vouch for the positive side.
Get sparky.
Get sparky.
I don't know. I'm team conceal, don't feel.
And down we go again.
Yeah. I say don't let society tell you what the spark is and whether
Yeah.
or not it's good or bad. Like live your life, but find like, I guess, better yourself, like find
Values and principles.
Yeah, like don't just be like strive to just make yourself happy because that's not what life is about. You know, like if you have higher principles, you will be happy. Like trust me.
Yeah.
If you don't, you'll always be unhappy because you're chasing the happiness, which is what the spark is. It's
It's
like,
fleeting.
yeah.
It's fleeting.
So, anyways, let us
that-
know if you agree or disagree.
You know,
I
I think that's another way of saying the key to happiness is low expectations.
You win, Thomas. It's fine.
Fine, Thomas.
That'll be the next T-shirt. Merch, FND merch. Thomas's quotes.
All right.
All right.
Thanks,
for
guys.
listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.